Brad Sayer. Brad is from the Faculty of Business and Economics and MGSM. Stakeholder Management for Dummies. How to align approaches with objectives.
Stakeholder management. It's not only a term that's widely used in managerial practice today, but it's widely debated in the academic literature. The reason for this debate is simple. The definition of stakeholder management is cause confusion and uncertainty. Now I know what you're thinking. You're sitting there going, I have stakeholders and I manage them. There is no confusion. I would be willing to bet that each of you will be thinking of one of three different approaches towards stakeholder management. You'll see in the Venn diagram on the screen behind me some of the outputs of my research I've done to date. Under the communications approach, here managers are issuing communications to either further engagement with stakeholders, the likes of your employees and customers and suppliers, or the defending, protecting the brand, reputation and market share of the organisation. Here against the likes of your competitors, regulators, government, industry associations and activist groups. The second approach is a relationship management approach, typically involved in project management, products, service development or infrastructure. Here managers are trying to manage the actual relationships with individuals or organisations to garner their resources and support to deliver that project, the product or the service. But the third approach down the bottom there, you'll see the strategic approach. If your objective is to enter, grow, change or diversify markets, my research has proven that the communication and relationship approach in isolation is ineffective to achieve those objectives. My research is qualitative in nature. I'm conducting semi-structured interviews with executives and senior managers through publicly listed and private organisations throughout Australia, and then extending those interviews out to their stakeholders, including their competitors, the government, regulators, financiers, owners, shareholders, employees, customers, and so forth. I'm finding those approaches, aligning the approaches with managerial objectives. This is my contribution to the body of knowledge. I want to leave you with a final thought. I want you to think of the likes of Nike, the NBN, National Australia Bank, NRMA Insurance, or any other organisation that has attempted to enter, grow, change or diversify markets, relied on the communication and relationship management approach, and found it to be ineffective. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. I think the real challenge of the 3-minute thesis is, of course, distilling down from a project that really takes, well, minimum 3 years or even longer. Painfully aware of how long completion times often take. The real challenge is distilling that down into a really digestible summary that actually still does justice to the research. And I think that's what I liked particularly about your presentation. It's a very complex slide that you have, and at first it seemed quite bewildering to me. I do have to say that anything that has economics or management in it and dummies, for dummies, automatically is speaking to me, because I am quite economically challenged, I do have to say. But you did use the slide very well. It's a very dense slide. It took me a little while to work out exactly what the kind of semiotics of it was, how it was laid out. But the slide itself is actually effective in communication once you understand what it is. And I think your presentation really helped to give access to the slide, and the slide in turn really helped to summarise the research. So that gave you the ability to talk about fairly dense things and fairly complicated matters, but in an accessible way. So the whole big picture of that 3 or 4 years of work did become accessible to the audience.